Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another update. So we are back once again to talk all about the stimulus checks and all sorts of government programs that can hopefully provide relief for as many people out there, especially during a time when there is obviously a lot of need that is still, that can hopefully benefit a lot of people. But the really great news maybe to start in today's update is that we officially have new information now that there are actually several programs that have now officially just been approved. So that is the really great news is that they're now officially approved programs. But with that being said I think it's really important to notice is that they're very niche specific programs. So they don't apply to every single person here. However, with that being said, I do believe is that there's stimulus check programs right now that are going out to probably about 1 to 2 million people. So that's a lot of people, and it's very probable you might be someone that's watching this. But I think at the end of the day, the big thing, as we've mentioned, is that even if we don't get to your state, we still love it. Every state has a special thing about it. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that it at least shows what's possible out there, and hopefully can become an inspiration for many other states to follow. Now, with that being said, is that as always, to try to be as inclusive as we can. I think at the very end, we will be talking a little bit about what the fourth stimulus check and all of the government support programs are currently doing, what's been going on in that world collectively as a country as a whole. So hopefully there's something you need to get out of this. So with that being said, we're gonna get started, but as always, real fast, 10 really quick seconds. If you guys hopefully enjoy videos like this, remember to smash the like button. Of course, it is always greatly appreciated, or you guys can watch to the end and decide. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos, especially as we get more information. I do notice is that, as some of you guys may or may not know, we are probably going to be diversifying content a little bit. If you happen to still be going through something and haven't seen it, we made a video last time that talks basically not necessarily about stimulus programs, but really just about tips and advice and tricks and just general guidance of being able to just get through, whether especially if you are someone that was formerly unemployed or still unemployed but no longer on benefits, or if you just need some kind of guidance. And it ends on a very positive, genuine positive note. So I definitely recommend. I'll put it at the end screen, it'll be on the top. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly just really anything. It really is always great to say hi to new and familiar faces and hear from you guys. So that being said, let's get this video started. So we're going to run through a couple of states that currently have some kind of approved, again repeat, approved fourth stimulus programs that are going on. The first state that we're really going to talk about really quick is going to be in the state of Maine. So the really great news is that, as some of you guys may or may not know, is that inside of Maine, they approved a $850 stimulus check. And what's really cool is that they've also now officially released an update. So it was approved about a month ago, but they just released an update that they are now getting ready to actually physically start sending it out, hopefully soon. And if you happen to be there, some people might have even already received it, so maybe feel free to comment. I know that there's not as many people in Maine, that are around here, but if any, by any chance, feel free to share that. We have a lot of people from a lot of the other bigger, much larger states. So that's going to be the first state. Now, the second state that we are going to be talking about is a program that actually was just officially approved, and it's going to apply to a huge congrats to the state of Minnesota. So the story is that in Minnesota, they officially just approved their own individual state stimulus check program. It's estimated that this specific program is going to apply to probably about 600,000 to 700,000 people. So that's a lot of people. This isn't like a small $2,000-3,000 town. This is enough to actually put together a legitimate city. But what's going to be really cool about their program is that this is really going to act almost as like a double between a fourth stimulus check and also hazard pay. What's the specific details to really know about this is that pretty much they have a state stimulus check program where they're going to be sending $750 per person They're hoping to deliver this starting anytime now over the next 10 to 12, so 10, 11, 12 weeks. So essentially about 3 months, so hopefully soon. It was technically originally proposed, a little bit of a quick background story. This was actually a program that was actually proposed originally last year. So they were actually fighting for this ever since about like July of 2021. That time period, it was actually a much smaller amount. But the really, really great news is that they ended up not only now officially approving it, but to make it up, also increasing the amount, which is now going to be $750. So it's actually even more money than the second stimulus check. And almost on the road to, not quite, but almost as much money on the road to what the first stimulus check was. Now, what's really cool is that there is an income requirement in order to get onto this. But I believe the big idea is that if you were someone, whether you were unemployed or you were currently working, this is going to apply to a very large demographic of people, from people that work in healthcare, home care, public health, social services, childcare, anything in that world, food, retail, transportation. Pretty much the whole purpose of this program is there's two sides to it. The first is really to send out some help to people that might very much need it. And then the second side to it is really just about giving it as a thank you gift, as a very, very huge thank you gift to a lot of people that might have been hazard pay workers that obviously because they were, actually working, they maybe were not on unemployment, but they really want to support them to thank them. And so that's what this stimulus check is really going to be for. So a really wide demographic of people. So I think that is the really, really great news. And then the next program that we're going to be talking about, admittedly, this one actually only applies to a city, but it is one of the biggest cities in our country. And it's going to be a huge congrats to Chicago. So in Chicago right now, there's currently a program that was just approved to do $500 monthly stimulus checks for 1 year. So it's a monthly program. Now, one really important thing to note, I will admit though, about this program is that it is a little bit of a semi-smaller program because it's technically really a trial run program for what they hope to do in the future, which is implementing universal basic income. So the way this program works is that it was officially approved, but it's only going to be going out to probably about a couple thousand people. So it's still a lot of people, but it is something that's much more niche, as opposed to the other programs, which is pretty much going out to the state as pretty much as a whole, as long as you are not over a certain income threshold, which is probably most people that are watching this, because I know it's been a very, very difficult time. But at least we are starting to finally see some, even if it's for just specific niche people, some people being able to see some action finally happening. And I think that's really the most important thing. And there were also a lot of news articles that already talked about how there were people that were literally living off of just like a few $100s every single week, and still to this day, actually, that's still happening, so it's definitely something that hopefully can, again, help as many people as we possibly can to really be able to get through this, because it's been a very wild last 2 years. And of course, we also talked about that in the last video, which once again will be at the end screen. But for the rest of this video, I really just want to talk about the stimulus check situation as just a whole and just how we're doing as a big country. So the big story to what's happening right now is that they are still inside of Congress negotiating. There were a couple articles that recently came out, but it was also spoken physically on the news. So they're based off of something as well, which is really about the fact that there are many, many people that are now speaking out about how they feel that maybe a lot of the stuff that people were really preaching for at that time. So for example, like when Biden was running for president, Congress, everything like that, that they maybe perhaps overpromised, especially what happens when they were struggling with even trying to get the Build Back Better program going through. So the big idea what's happening right now is that because the elections are going to be coming soon, now there's even more pressure in order to try to actually physically try to approve something. Now, in terms of what they're currently working on right now, one of the biggest focuses that they're really working on right now is to try to approve more pandemic aid. So what it is that they want to finally try to approve some money a couple $billion specifically that they're looking for in order to try to make those finishing touches to hopefully finally end the pandemic, or more or less end it. Because again, many people speculate the sad thing is it's going to exist now, almost like the flu. But to hopefully at least be able to make those finishing touches so it won't be as impactful to people's lifestyle. And I feel like because, as some of you guys know, my industry was also impacted, and to this day, it's still being impacted. I work in events, entertainment outside of this, so a little bit of a heads up, just general info. So the real big idea is that they're trying to approve some aid to finally make those finishing touches, and then they want to use that aid to fund a lot of programs such as like testing, healthcare, everything in that world. And probably the biggest, most relatable part of what they're doing is that they finally want to send some of the aid to individual states and hope that a lot of states can do what they want to help their people. Very, very exactly like it's not something that we necessarily have to speculate, although that's true in many states, but very, very similar to what we are already seeing in several states, like the ones that we just talked about a couple minutes ago, like for example in Maine, for example in Chicago, Maine, Chicago, Minnesota. The big idea is that when they send the money over to individual states, the hope is now they get to have the power. So the representatives in your particular state now get to have the power to decide what they want to do with that money. Whether this includes stimulus checks or other kinds of programs or for themselves, that's kind of up to their decision. But the big idea is at least there's not just intention, but we are already actually physically seeing stuff happening. And I think that's really the most important and probably the really, really great news to really be able to share out there. But with that being said, I think that's pretty much what I really just wanted to share in today's update. So hopefully if you guys found something insightful and haven't done so, remember to smash the like button, consider subscribing, hitting the bell for similar videos, especially as we hopefully get more, especially with the aid stuff, hopefully coming soon. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly just really anything. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well. If you are watching this on release date, have a great start to the brand new month of May 2022, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.